Here's the reality. The moment we are born, the moment the doctor delivered us and gave it that little swat on the butt to allow us to take our first breath, that's when the aging clock starts. As most people think of the heart, you go jogging, you hear the lub-dub in the background, the soundtrack of your heart beating. But here's something most people don't know, is that when we were all in our mother's womb forming, one of the first organs that we formed isn't your brain, isn't your liver, isn't your bones. It's actually your heart and your circulatory system. And they all form pretty much at the same time. And they form with these things called stem cells. So imagine just dropping a group of marbles on the ground and they randomly kind of fall on the carpet, they roll around, and they don't look like anything. Those are your stem cells at, say, day 5, day 7 after conception, when dad's sperm met mom's egg. Over the course of the next weeks, those marbles coalesce together and they begin to organize themselves to form these channels. They call them first lakes, blood lakes, before they form tributaries, before they form streams. And that's basically, at the end of the day, they're left with one additional area, which is the heart, that is special because it actually has muscles, special muscles that will actually pump, and its own electrical system. And so basically, when you think about how your heart and your blood vessels are actually connected together, they were formed together at the very beginning, all right? So what happens to your heart will impact your blood vessels, your circulation, and therefore your organs. And what happens to your blood vessels actually impacts the heart as well. So if you have very stiff blood vessels, now blood vessels are actually very elastic. So basically when your heart pumps, they will stretch to accommodate the blood, all right? Because a normal capillary, the smallest blood vessel at the very, just getting into your organs to feed your cells, that's the thinness of a human hair. That's a human capillary. Now to jet blood through that, in fact, that diameter of that blood vessel is smaller than a single blood cell. So even for a healthy blood cell to get through that end channel, it has to stretch to allow things through. First of all, people think of aging in a very particular snapshot-y sort of way, right? We think about our grandparents. We think about a picture of an actor that we know who's now, at the twilight of their career or their life, and look at all that gray hair, look at all those wrinkles. That's a snapshot in time. Here's the reality. The moment we are born, the moment the doctor delivered us and gave it that little swat on the butt to allow us to take our first breath, that's when the aging clock starts. We are aging from the moment we are born. When your body is unable to prune away, mow the lawn, and get rid of those extra blood vessels, what do you think they do? Your healthy tissues don't need them. So those extra, the overage, goes to feed disease cells. So what are some of the diseases? Breast cancer, colon cancer, brain tumors, lung cancer, pancreatic cancer. In fact, every single cancer, including blood cancers, are angiogenesis or blood vessel dependent. These blood vessels feed the cancer. And so now we've actually found ways to actually starve the cancer by cutting off the blood supply. Another disease with extra blood vessels is arthritis. The blood vessels that grow extra in our joints bring enzymes that destroy the joints. Psoriasis is another disease. And then actually, as people get older, when we get into our 60s and 70s and older, and people are living longer these days, and sometimes living with chronic diseases, it turns out that a cause of vision loss for aging, macular degeneration, age-related macular degeneration, you probably know someone, a parent, a relative, a parent of a friend. That's the most common cause of blindness in this country. And people who are under 60, diabetes is a common cause. And what is causing that blindness, vision loss? Blood vessels that are growing in the eye out of control, that the body hasn't mowed down so that we have just the right amount. That overage, those vessels leak. And when blood leaks in your eye, game over. And so there are medicines that actually have been developed to really halt this in its tracks. Remarkably, in a small percentage of people, you can reverse lost vision. So you can actually put somebody who can't drive, you can put them back in the seat of a car, which is amazing. But again, What could we do with food using the same principles to prevent that, or prevent cancer, or prevent arthritis? And another exciting frontier that's extra blood vessels is Alzheimer's disease, because even the German scientist who discovered Alzheimer's disease, found abnormal blood vessels growing in the brains of people with dementia. And so what we now know is that you've got to kind of mow down and get rid of all those bad blood vessels to make room for new, fresh, good blood vessels to grow back. So, this is an area of medical breakthroughs that are fueling new treatments and new hope for people. I'm involved with that, but I'm even more excited by the possibility of prevention. And not just possibility, but the reality of being able to prevent these diseases with a healthy diet.
So, what are some of the things that can activate the immune system besides drugs? I mean, there's a lot of things that can actually help our immune system, but food, is really a pretty powerful way to enhance it. We talked a little bit earlier about kimchi boosting our immune system through the microbiome, but there are foods that just can actually automatically boost our immune system by themselves. One of them is mango. I love mangoes. They're juicy, sweet, filled with fiber. They got lots of vitamins, and they also have bioactives. And I call a mango, by the way, a mango is a stone fruit, but I call mangoes and stone fruit grand slammers of foods. These are foods, a whole table of foods I have in my book that all activate all five defense systems at the same time, including the immune system. So you can slam it out of the park by eating these foods. Mango is one of my favorites. Tasty, juicy, sweet. You get vitamins, good minerals, and it actually contains these natural bioactives that actually can help boost your immune system. But it's not just mangoes. You got other things. Broccoli sprouts. Some people talk about living foods, right? Those are the young sprouting foods that have all the nutrients and the energy when they're just young babies. And later on, when they get older, they get distributed the energy on the whole bigger plant. Well, it turns out that broccoli sprouts have been studied to see if they can boost the immune system. And in my book, I talk about a research study where they gave young people in their 20s the flu shot. Actually, it's not a shot. They gave a flu inhaler to protect them against the flu. And it turns out that if they gave them also a couple of shots of broccoli sprouts made into a smoothie, that's it, a couple of shots of this a day, that you would actually improve the response like 20 times to the benefit protecting you against the flu. Boost your immune system. And when they even swabbed their noses afterwards, where the virus might live, they were like almost all gone. And so again, this is an example of a food that can boost up the immune response that we want to have to protect ourselves. So, you go to the doctor, you get a flu shot, but, what about having a smoothie made with broccoli sprouts as well? Final food I want to talk about is really mushrooms. So, some people love mushrooms, some people don't, but everybody should love them because, number one, they grow right from the ground. They suck up all those really nice nutrients from the ground. If it's growing in clean ground, we've got to protect our earth, have a good planet so that our food is really safe. But inside the mushroom, there is a natural compound called beta-glucan, that is found in the cap of the mushroom that we cut up, right, and eat, and that stimulates the immune system directly. But here's a real surprise. Regardless of whether it's a shiitake mushroom, a maitake mushroom, a portobello mushroom, or even the lowly white button mushroom, the ones that are they're not expensive at all. You can find them anywhere. But here's like the surprise, and I write about this in a book. The part of the food matters. So how many of us buy mushrooms and you cut off the tops and you're cooking with those, and you take those stems, you just toss them out? I think most people do that, not everybody. But researchers have found that the stems, called the stipe, actually contains up to 3 times more beta-glucan than the cap. Cap is good, stems better. Next time you eat mushrooms, eat them both. My recommendation is take, only about a third of what your brain tells you to take, put it on your plate, enjoy what you're eating, choose the right things, and lean into the foods that you love.